only a whisper. Turning, I handed the box to my father. As his rough old hands closed around it, I saw a strange look come over his face. He turned and looked at my dogs. Some of the men started shouting, "Here it is!" The crowd parted and the judge walked through. I saw the gleaming metal of the gold cup in his hand. After a short speech, he handed it to me, saying, "Son, this makes me very proud. It's a great honor to present you with this championship cup." The crowd exploded. The hunters' shouts were deafening. I don't know from where the two silly old tears came from. They just squeezed their way out. I felt them as they rolled down my cheeks. One dropped on the smooth surface of the cup and splattered. I wiped it away with my sleeve. Turning to my dogs, I knelt down and showed the cup to them. Little Ann licked it. Old Dan sniffed one time, and then turned his head away. The judge said, "Son, there's a place on the cup to engrave the names of your dogs. I can take it to Oklahoma City and have it done. Or you can have it done yourself. The engraving charge has already been paid by the association." Looking at the cup, it seemed that far down in the gleaming shadows I could see the two wide blue eyes glued to a window pane. I knew that my little sister was watching the road and waiting for our return. Looking back at the judge, I said, "If you don't mind, I'll take it with me. My grandfather can send it in for me." Laughing, he said, "That's all right." Handing me a slip of paper, he said, "This is the address where you should send it." Grandpa said, "Now that's settled, I'm ready to go to town." Turning to Papa, he said, "You have to bring the buggy. I wish you'd look after my stock. I know Grandma will want to go in with us, and there will be no one there to feed them. Tell Bill Lowry to come up and take care of the store. You'll find the keys in the usual place." "We'll take care of everything," Papa said. "Don't worry about a thing. I don't intend to stop until we get back, because it looks like we're in for some more bad weather." I went over and kissed Grandpa goodbye. He pinched my cheek and whispered, "We'll teach these city slickers that they can't come up here and beat our dogs." I smiled. Grandpa was carried out and made comfortable in the back seat of Dr. Lathman's car. I stood and watched as it wheezed and bounced its way out of sight. "While I'm harnessing the team," Pop said, "you take the tent down and pack our gear." On the back seat of the buggy, I made a bed out of our bedclothes. Down on the floorboards, I fixed a nice place for my dogs. All through the night, the creaking wheels of our buggy moved on. Several times I woke up. My father had wrapped a tarp around himself. Reaching down, I could feel my dogs. They were warm and comfortable. Early the next morning, we stopped for breakfast. While Pop attended to the team, I turned my dogs loose and let them stretch. "We made a good time last night," Pop said. "If everything goes right, we'll be home long before dark." Reaching Grandpa's store in the middle of the afternoon, Papa said, "I'll put the team in the barn and feed the stock while you unload the buggy." Coming back from the barn, he said, "In the morning I'll go over and tell Bill Lowry to come up and open the store." Looking around, he said, "It snowed more here than it did where we were hunting." Feeling big and important, I said, "I don't like the looks of this weather. We'd better be scooting for home." Papa laughed. "Sure you're not in a hurry to get home to show off the gold cup?" he asked. Smile was my only answer. 200 yards this side of our home, the road made a turn and a low foothill shutting our house off from view. Papa said, "You're going to see a scramble as soon as we round that bend." It was more of a stampede than a scramble. The little one came out first, and all but tore the screen door from its hinges. The older girls passed her just beyond the gate. In her hurry, she slipped and fell face down in the snow. She started crying. The elder girls ran up, asking for the cup. Holding it high over my head, I said, "Now wait a minute, I got another one for you two." I held the small silver cup out to them. While they were fighting over it, I ran to the little one. Picking her up, I brushed the snow from her long braided hair and her tear-stained face. I told her there was no use to cry. I had brought the gold cup to her, and no one else was going to get it. Aww. Reaching for the cup, she wrapped her small arms around it. Squeezing it up tight, she ran for the house to show it to Mama. Mama came out on the porch. She was just as excited as the girls were. She held out her arms. I ran to her. She hugged me and kissed me. "It's good to have you home again," she said. "Look what I have, Mama," the little one cried, "and it's all mine." She held the golden cup out in her two small hands. As Mama took the beautiful cup, she looked at me. She started to say something, but was interrupted by the cries from the other girls. "We have one too, Mama," they cried, "and it's just as pretty as that one." "It's not either," the little one piped up in a defiant voice. "It's not even as big as mine." "2 cups," Mama exclaimed. "Did you win 2?" "Yes, Mama," I said. "Little Ann won that one all by herself." The awed expression on my mother's face was wonderful to see. Holding a cup in each hand, she held them out in front of her. "2," she said. "A gold one and a silver one. Who would have thought anything so wonderful could have happened to us? I'm so proud, so very proud." Handing the cups back to the girl, she walked over to Papa. After kissing him, she said, "I just can't believe everything that has happened. I'm so glad you went along. Did you enjoy yourself?" With a smile on his face, Papa almost shouted, "Enjoy myself? Why, I never had such a time in my life." His voice trailed off to a low calm. "That is, except for one thing. Grandpa had a bad accident." "Yes, I know," Mama said. "One of Tom Logan's boys was at the store when they arrived. He came by and told us all about it. The doctor said it wasn't as bad as it looked, and he was pretty sure Grandpa would be home in a few days." I was happy to hear this news, and could tell by the pleased look on my father's face he was glad to hear it too. On entering the house, Papa said, "Oh, I almost forgot." He handed the box of money to Mama. "What's this?" she asked. "Oh, it's just a little gift from old Dan and little Ann," Papa said. Mama opened the box. I saw the color drain from her face. Her hands started trembling. Turning her back to us, she walked over and set it on the mantel. A peaceful silence settled over the room. I could hear the clock ticking away. The fire in the fireplace crackled and popped. Turning from the mantel, Mama looked straight at us. Her lips were tightly pressed together to keep them from quivering. Walking slowly to Papa, she buried her face in his chest. I heard her say, "Thank God my prayers have been answered." There was a celebration at our home that night. To me, it was like a second Christmas. Mama opened a jar of huckleberries and made a large cobbler. Papa went to the smokehouse and came back with a hickory-cured ham. We sat down to a feast of ham, huge plates of fried potatoes, ham gravy, hot cornbread, fresh butter, and wild bee honey. During the course of the meal, the entire story of the championship was told. Some by Papa, but mostly by me. Just when everything was so perfect and peaceful, an argument sprang up between the 2 oldest girls. It seemed that each wanted to claim the silver cup. Just when they were on the verge of sawing it in 2, so each would have her allotted share, Papa settled the squabble by giving the oldest one a silver dollar. Once again, peace and harmony was restored. That night, as I was preparing for bed, a light flashed by my window. Puzzled, I tiptoed over and peeked through the pane. It was Mama. Carrying my lantern and 2 large plates heaped high with food, she was heading for the doghouse. Setting the light down on the ground in front of it, she called to my dogs. While they were eating, Mama said something I couldn't understand. She knelt down on her knees in prayer. After they had eaten the food, Mama started petting them. I could hear her voice, but couldn't make out her words. Whatever she was saying must have pleased them. Little Ann wiggled and twisted. Even old Dan wagged his long red tail, which was very unusual. Papa came out. I saw him put his arm around Mama. Side by side, they stood for several minutes, looking at my dogs. When they turned to enter the house, I saw Mama dab at her eyes with her apron. Lying in bed, staring into the darkness, I tried to figure out the strange actions of my parents. Why had Mama knelt in prayer in front of my dogs? Why had she wept? I was running all the ways around in my mind when I heard them talking. "I know," Papa said, But I think there's a way. I'm going to have a talk with Grandpa. I don't think that old foot of his is ever going to be the same again. He's going to need some help around the store. I knew they were talking about me, but I couldn't understand what they meant. Then I thought, why, that's it. They want me to help Grandpa. That would be all right with me. I could still hunt every night. Feeling smart for figuring out their conversation, I turned over and fell asleep. To be continued. There are only 2 chapters left, but... Remember when I said the book was graphic? Well, be warned. Next time, it's gonna get graphic.